You know what's fascinating about highly intelligent people? They rarely look the way we expect them to. We imagine intelligence as the loudest voice in the room, the person with all the answers, someone who constantly needs to prove how smart they are, someone who dominates every conversation with big words and complex theories. But psychology research suggests something completely different. Many highly intelligent people actually display patterns of what researchers call quiet intelligence, cognitive strengths that don't announce themselves, that operate beneath the surface. In fact, cognitive psychologists often say that true intelligence is less about performing your knowledge and more about how your brain processes information when no one's watching. And that processing tends to show up through certain everyday behaviors. Here are 10 surprisingly common signs that you possess quiet intelligence, even if you've never thought of yourself as particularly smart. Picture this. You're in a meeting or a classroom. Someone asks a complex question, while others immediately jump in with half-formed answers. You stay quiet. Not because you don't know, but because your brain is running multiple simulations, considering different angles, weighing consequences. By the time you're ready to speak, the moment has passed, and everyone assumes you had nothing to contribute. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that individuals with higher cognitive ability often demonstrate what's called reflective processing. They take longer to respond because they're engaging in deeper analysis. That extra 3 seconds of silence isn't emptiness, it's complexity. That hesitation did more than just delay your answer. It fundamentally changed the quality of your thinking, creating space for what researchers call integrative complexity, where your brain doesn't just find one answer, it explores how multiple answers might coexist. And this is why quiet intelligence is so often misunderstood. Because in a world that rewards quick responses, depth looks like slowness. The first sign is you think in questions, not answers. People with quiet intelligence rarely settle on a single conclusion. Instead, they naturally generate follow-up questions. But what if? How does this apply when? What am I not seeing here? This relates to what psychologists call epistemic curiosity, the desire to eliminate information gaps. Research from Georgia Institute of Technology found that this trait strongly correlates with cognitive flexibility and problem-solving ability. Your brain isn't satisfied with surface-level understanding. It needs to probe deeper. While others feel pressured to have opinions on everything, you're genuinely okay admitting ignorance, not from insecurity, but from intellectual honesty. In not obey, studies in metacognition show that accurately assessing the limits of your knowledge is actually a marker of intelligence. The Dunning-Kruger effect proves that less competent people overestimate their abilities, while truly capable people often underestimate theirs. Your comfort with uncertainty isn't weakness, it's calibration. In not obey, the third sign is you notice patterns others miss. In not obey, you see connections between seemingly unrelated things. A conversation about history reminds you of a psychology concept. A pattern in nature mirrors something you read about economics. Your brain is constantly cross-referencing. In not obey, research from Northwestern University shows that pattern recognition is one of the strongest predictors of fluid intelligence. These aren't random associations, they're your brain building complex mental models of how systems work. In not obey, the fourth sign is you prefer listening over speaking. In not obey, in group settings, you naturally fall into observer mode, not from shyness necessarily, but because you're gathering data. Listening gives you more information than talking ever could. In not obey, cognitive research suggests that high intelligence often pairs with what's called active listening processing, where your brain isn't just hearing words, it's analyzing tone, subtext, contradictions, and underlying motivations. This requires significant cognitive resources, which is why truly listening is mentally exhausting. Is problem. The fifth sign is you adapt your communication style. Is problem. You naturally shift how you speak depending on your audience. With experts, you use technical language. With beginners, you simplify without condescension. You're not being fake, you're optimizing for understanding. Is problem. This demonstrates high social intelligence and cognitive flexibility. Research in communication studies shows that this kind of code-switching requires sophisticated mental modeling of other people's knowledge states. Is problem. Consider this for a moment. How often do we interpret these behaviors incorrectly? Is problem. Someone who asks a lot of questions may seem uncertain, Someone who says, "I don't know," may seem unprepared. Someone who stays quiet may seem disengaged. Is problem. But sometimes, these are actually signs of a mind that's working at a different level, not better, just different, operating with more variables, more nuance, more depth. Is problem. The sixth sign is you get lost in thought easily. Is problem. Your mind wanders during mundane tasks. Grocery shopping turns into thinking about supply chains. A simple conversation triggers a 20-minute internal dialogue about human behavior. People think you're distracted. You're actually deeply engaged, just not with what's in front of you. Is problem. Neuroscience research from the University of Wisconsin shows that mind wandering correlates with working memory capacity. Your brain has processing power to spare, so it runs background programs constantly. Is problem. The seventh sign is you're your own harshest critic. Is problem. You hold yourself to standards that would exhaust most people. A project others call good enough feels unfinished to you. Not from perfectionism necessarily, but from seeing all the ways it could be better. Is problem. This connects to metacognitive awareness. You can simultaneously perform a task and evaluate your performance. Research shows this self-monitoring ability is characteristic of higher cognitive function. Is problem. The eighth sign is you need time alone to process. Is problem. After social interaction or complex information, you require solitude, not to recover from people, but to integrate what you've learned. Your brain is still working, organizing, connecting, making sense. Is problem. Studies in cognitive psychology reveal that integration of complex information happens during rest periods. Your brain is literally rewiring itself, strengthening neural pathways. That quiet time isn't emptiness, it's consolidation. Is problem. The ninth sign is you see multiple sides of every argument. Is problem. This can be paralyzing. You understand why both political sides believe what they do. You see merit in contradictory philosophies. People mistake this for indecisiveness, but it's actually perspective-taking ability. Research on cognitive complexity shows that higher intelligence correlates with the ability to hold contradictory ideas simultaneously without discomfort. You're not confused, you're seeing a more complete picture. And the 10th sign is you doubt your own intelligence. If you've made it this far, wondering whether any of this actually applies to you, that itself is a sign. Truly intelligent people question whether they're intelligent. They see how much they don't know. They compare themselves to the smartest people in their field, not the average. This is the intelligence paradox. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know. But here's what's fascinating. Despite possessing these cognitive abilities, people with quiet intelligence often struggle in environments that reward quick thinking and confident assertions over careful analysis. They watch others get promoted, get recognition, get called smart while their own contributions go unnoticed because they don't perform their intelligence loudly enough. This comes from a fundamental mismatch between how intelligence actually works and how our culture recognizes it. We've built systems that reward speed and certainty, even though research consistently shows that depth and intellectual humility produce better outcomes. And now we're living in a world of hot takes, instant opinions, and algorithms that reward confidence over accuracy. People with quiet intelligence watch everyone else broadcast their thoughts immediately, and sometimes wonder if they're too slow, too uncertain, too analytical to keep up. But here's the thing. In the age of AI and information overload, the ability to think critically, to question assumptions, to integrate complexity, these aren't outdated skills. They're becoming more valuable, not less. The truth is, quiet intelligence might be the most underestimated form of cognitive strength we have. It's not about IQ scores or academic achievements. It's about how your brain naturally seeks depth over performance, understanding over being understood, truth over being right. You're not slow. You're thorough. You're not uncertain. You're intellectually honest. You're not quiet because you have nothing to say. You're quiet because you're still thinking. And maybe that's the most intelligent thing of all, knowing that the best thoughts rarely come from the fastest thinkers. If this resonated with you, please subscribe. And I genuinely appreciate hearing in the comments which sign hit closest to home. If you want more psychology deep dives like this, subscribe, and hit the bell.